Hey folks, it's Don. Today I'm going to take a walk to Rockbridge State Nature Preserve in Hocking County. So let's go. So as we start our journey here at Rockbridge, this is the gate that you pass through, and we have our requisite signage. This is a state nature preserve. So it has a couple of relatively short trails. It's sort of an out and back, and we will terminate at the Hocking River. And Rockbridge itself, the natural stone arch that's the main feature, is just near the river, and then there's another little loop that takes you to a rock shelter. That's a bit about the topography of the trails. You start out, we are right here, okay? We start out with this long straight stretch, just bordering a pasture, and see some old field vegetation. But what I think I'll do is I'll take a walk through here, see if there's any highlights, and then join you probably about when we hit the woods. So let's take a walk. As we walk along here, we can see one obvious thing, and that is the goldenrods are starting to bloom. And we have basically 3 tall goldenrod species here in Ohio. There are about 20 total species, but the 3 tallest ones are going to be tall goldenrod, Canada goldenrod, and giant goldenrod. Gigantea. And so they're often tough to tell apart. And so you can see in this little hedgerow, we have some that are farther along than others. I'm not going to stop to identify them at the moment, but this is goldenrod season, and it matches quite well with the flowering of some purple and blue flowered species. And I'm seeing out in this pasture ironweed. It's actually quite short because that's a pasture, but a nice purple flower that when it intermixes with the goldenrod looks really nice. And then we get asters like New England aster that starts to bloom this time of year. We'll see if we can find some of that, because that's a nice blue flower that blends, mixes very nicely with goldenrods. And so that yellow and purple and yellow and blue, really a nice early fall color mixture, color blend that you see in these sorts of areas. So like I said, this is just a straight stretch through pastured areas. There's a still farmed field over there. That's a soybean field. I see a nice patch of milkweeds coming up. I can see the pods sticking up above the goldenrods down here. So we'll take a look at that. It's been very dry, very hot, dry summer, and things have senesced a lot earlier this year. Here's ironweed, by the way. Really nice purple flower. It's a native plant. You often see it growing in pastures because cattle don't like it, really, so they won't eat it. It's a good native plant, however. There's a lot of milkweeds. You can see they're developing seed pods. So yeah, as I was saying, we are a week or two beyond in maturity of these plants than we would be normally in a wetter year. That would have held these plants back in a vegetative state longer. So they're senescing a little earlier this year. We're going to get earlier fall colors this year that are probably not going to be as dramatic, colorful as a wetter year. That often drives what fall colors are like, what the growing season was like, and how long the plants had to grow at their best before normal seasonal change occurred, inducing them to start to change color. And so because it's been so dry, I predict, you can see here's a shagbark hickory over here, and it's, rather than go through its normal senescence processes, and that species would turn nice and yellow normally, they're just drying up. These leaves have just dried up, many of them at least. Okay, so we'll see a lot of that kind of thing this year. Now a lot of these plants still in here still seem very green. We're in kind of a moister area right here. But overall, it's been a heck of a hot and dry summer. I'm entering the woods proper here at the nature preserve, and I'm seeing trees like white oaks, hickories of various species, shagbark, pignut, and so forth. A mixture of ashes that are still surviving, sassafras. But here's a nice monster tree. Here's a big tulip tree. All right, that's a beefy tree. Really nice shape at the moment. Okay, so that's the biggest tree I've seen so far. There's some American beeches over there, of course, all carved with initials. But yeah, that's a whopper. So I'll keep my eye out for big trees, of course. Here's pawpaw. His big glossy tropical looking leaves. I have an episode devoted completely to pawpaws. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And so we have to go a little ways through the woods here and then drop back down to the Hocking River Valley proper. So I'll go a little farther and rejoin you. So we've climbed up the trail out of the lowland we are walking in, kind of up a ridge in parallel with the pasture out here. And we're at a little high point, and we're now going to start to drop back down to where Rockbridge is itself and the river. So again, in front of me, I'm seeing red oaks, shagbark hickories, white oaks, sugar maples, black cherries, and beeches. I've noticed a lot of carving on American beeches along the way, and I kind of tease students that something's an American beech if it's filled with people's initials. And so sometimes there's some interesting historical carvings. The ones I saw here were not very inspired, just initials, a couple of years, going back 20 years or so. So we're now just going to continue to drop down, and here we kind of lose the pasture and enter just a river valley, a wooded river valley itself. And I'll join you a little farther. So a little check-in with the map. We're now right here at B. We just took this walk, which we dropped down and rose back up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this branch here, head out to Rockbridge, take a peek at the river, come back this loop and see this rock shelter, and then back around. And so that's going to be about a 1 mile total loop I'm going to do, not including the half mile we just did to get in here. So let's head in this direction and go see Rockbridge. We're now at point C on the map. So we are right here. We're very close to Rockbridge. And I'll just keep the camera rolling here, and as we get closer I might just look around and not talk too much, maybe overdub, but let's take a walk down and see Rockbridge now. All these sites in the Hocking Hills. This would be part of what's called the Hocking Hills. It's probably the most northeastern point in the region is this. Stay on the trails, because if you could fall, hurt yourself, get killed. It happens every year in this region. So let's heed that warning. This is not a tall cliff site. Rockbridge kind of sits low in a little gully. Okay, and I can see the beginnings of it now. So we'll just walk around and take a look at it. So we're here at Rockbridge, and I'm going to take it from the top and take you through what this thing looks like and how it was formed. So here's some signage describing what happened here. But what we have here is, like so many features in the Hocking Hills region, we had a rock shelter that was formed through slow erosionary forces of blackhand sandstone, where we had tougher, more difficult to erode stones on the top of this shelter and softer stuff down below. All right. Now this one's unique. All other rock shelters in Hocking Hills, most of them at least, have a roof, right? There's a cliff you can walk on above them. But this one was eroded away. So there were some weak points in this sandstone on the, quote, roof of the shelter that eroded away through time. And so when you first stand here from the top, it just looks like a hole in the ground. But here's the stone bridge itself, or the rock bridge itself. So let's walk across that. So it gets kind of narrow, no guardrails. I've got some people joining me here shortly, but that's it. Okay, that's Rockbridge, and it extends over into that direction. So before too many people get here, I'm going to go down below, take a look at what it looks like from below. Okay, here's a little bit from the top. Okay, let's go see that. It's a little bit more impressive from below. Pictures taken from above, I've noticed, don't really do it justice for sure. So this is about 100 feet long, this rock bridge. It's considered the largest natural stone arch in Ohio. There are 20 some odd natural stone bridges, and this is the best. So let's see it from below. There's a fence here to hold you back. Okay, so there's the old, what would have been the rock shelter, and there's the bridge above us. All right, so very cool from down here. It gets very quiet once you get down here as well. So, still a little bit of water flowing that, you know, created this thing. It's been very dry, however. But there's Rockbridge. Very interesting feature in the Hocking Hills. Okay, so now I'm going to move on down to the Hocking River. Take a look at what that looks like. One more shot of the rock bridge, some vegetation growing on it. Okay, let's go. So I've dropped down to the river valley, or stream valley, depending on your criteria for determining a river. But behind me is the Hocking River. So let's take a look at that. It's really pretty today. It's very calm in this stretch. It's a clean stream, a clean river. I see a canoe storage facility across the way, or a livery. A canoe put in is across the river there. So you can canoe this river. And we did have an influx of rain. I described how dry it's been, but we did have a good influx of rain this week in certain parts of Ohio. So there's a decent amount of water there. You'd probably be dragging quite a bit in this stretch of the river, but it sure is pretty and peaceful right now. Yeah, it's we're still hanging on to mostly the late summer greens, but we're in, what is this, the second week of September? We're about to start, and so we're just ahead of major leaf color change in this area. Of course, this area is a great place to visit for fall colors, the Hocking Hills in general. And so it'd be nice to canoe through all of that as well. So this river flows southeast. It goes through Athens, Ohio, eventually dumps into the Ohio River. And historically, it once had a canal system that ran along it. I believe on the other side of the river is where it would have been. That's where it's open and flat. I haven't seen it per se, but there was a canal system along a lot of the major and minor rivers in Ohio, linking the Ohio River to Lake Erie, for example, and to the central part of the state. And so Hocking River had a canal at one time. Okay, so beautiful, peaceful setting. All right, and so I will now make our journey toward the rock shelter portion of Rockbridge State Natural Area and join you when I'm near. I'm on the trail linking Rockbridge to the rock shelter part of the preserve. I kept hearing the screaming and screeching in the woods not too far away from Rockbridge. I finally realized there's a zip line here, and people just screaming and screeching as they ride down that thing. So I haven't seen it. Sounds like they're having a lot of fun, but it is right next to the park, so it's kind of annoying. But nonetheless, what can you do? This is a beautiful stretch of woods, though. There are white oaks in here, what I believe to be black oaks, northern reds, American beeches. Nice, you know, this would have been cut over at some point, but these trees are approaching the 200-year-old range, maybe some more than that, 300 at most, I would say. So it's a real nice woodland. It's not invaded. Lots of young beech, pawpaws, plenty of deer, I'm sure. There's a lot of dry leaves that have hit the ground this year. As I was saying, it's been a dry year. So a lot of trees are, you know, their leaves are just drying up rather than proceeding through their normal color changes, and they're dropping them. But they'll be okay. Trees are resilient. They'll come back from this next year, I'm sure. Now, if you have string together several drought years in a row, that's a different story. So we'll just have to see how things are going. Things, of course, are proceeding in the hotter direction every year. There's no doubt about that. But the moisture levels can vary quite a bit. So we'll have to see. What else am I seeing around here? Yeah, I think I hit the highlights. I was wondering, I was curious, because I have not seen chestnut oaks here, which I'd completely expect to see in this region. But I still haven't. I was thinking that was one in front of me, but it's not. Okay, here's a nice open woodland, hickories, some quite large hickories in the distance there. Really pleasant. I'm here kind of late in the afternoon, 5 o'clock. Been a handful of people I've been skirting around just so I could speak freely. But it's really nice evening, about 70 degrees, which is perfect. Perfect early fall weather. Okay, catch you when I get to Rockbridge. So here's a small rock shelter on the way. I don't believe this is the main feature here, but there are little rock shelters all along this little valley, this little gully, hollow. But I think the bigger one must be forward. So let's keep going. Map check-in. We're at location F. That little rock shelter I filmed indeed was the rock shelter feature on this loop. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to complete it. I'm a finisher. I'm going to do that 0.2 mile loop back to this point and then head back. Okay, so hopefully there's something good to see out that way, so I can catch it on film. See ya shortly. Hey folks, I found something here that's exciting that I need to track down. Sometimes this is how you find things. You look at what's on the ground. So this big leaf, kind of canoe shaped, with slightly curved spines on the margins of the leaf, is the leaf of an American chestnut tree. And so I'm going to do a little search and I'll rejoin you back on camera once I find this thing, because that'd be a cool find. So hopefully I succeed. Well folks, I'm really glad I took that loop. I was starting to dread it, getting tired, it's getting late in the day. And as I said earlier, you know, I really hope there was something good to see on this loop, because I was ready to get out of here. And I did. I found something. It's really cool. I found a couple cool things, but this one I need to point out to you first because it's pretty special. So behind me is an American chestnut tree. Okay, this is a quite sizable tree. So just using my little hand calculator, that tree is about 25 inches in circumference. It is perfectly healthy at this point. Okay, let me just pan up to the canopy. There's a very healthy canopy. Maybe hard to see on camera, but out there you can see the leaves. Nice straight forest grown chestnut. No sign of chestnut blight at the moment. I haven't seen chestnuts in the forest much, so you know, if this one is truly isolated here, it could escape for quite a while. Although some of these other species like oaks and beech can harbor chestnut blight that could eventually attack this tree. But that is a nice specimen. That's one of the bigger American chestnuts I've seen alive in the wild in this day and age. Okay, and those again were once the giants of our eastern forests. It's a nice, straight, tall, boy. It's probably, it's at least 60 feet tall. It's beautiful, beautiful right now. So I'm really glad I made the loop because that's a special tree to see. All right, now, again, and the way I found it was just, you know, glancing down, and you start to see things like that. That's a chestnut leaf on the ground. Took me about 20 minutes to find it, actually. It's over here, a little bit off the trail. But wow, what a specimen. Really nice. And while I was looking, I found one other neat thing to point out to you, which is maybe a little less spectacular, but kind of interesting, kind of weird. So American beeches are known for their very smooth bark, smooth whitish bark that everybody likes to carve their initials in. But sometimes they don't have smooth bark. They have bark like that. Okay, these warty projections. And I really don't know what causes that. I have seen this. It's very interesting, unique pattern. I don't think it's caused by a disease. The tree seems to be healthy. I don't know exactly if it always looked like this from a young seedling or developed this pattern with age. But it's a really cool thing, and I have seen this sort of warty appearance on beaches before. So it's not unheard of. And that warty appearance kind of goes away, I see, at about 15 feet and above up there. So that's very interesting as well. Okay, so what can I do but conclude things right there? Found a bonus American chestnut as we completed this loop, and a nice warty beach. And with that, I'm gonna sign off for today with this episode of The Naturalist. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye. All right, like on a lot of my hikes, I've done the hike with other people along the way, and so I met a nice family here who just came out of Rockbridge themselves. So why don't you tell me what you saw and what you liked about it? Want to start?
Sure.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of cool pawpaws and pawpaw trees, and there's nice wildflower patches and a lot of cool trees and forests.
Awesome, I love it. I have an episode of this series on pawpaws, so check that one out too. That's excellent. How about you? What do you like about it?
I liked how the bridge is like just really narrow, and how it's like somehow it's just like its own bridge without anything really making it but the water.
Yeah, awesome that water through thousands, millions of years can do that after a while. Was it scary walking across that bridge?
No.
No? Even though there's no guardrails?
Mm-mm.
How about you? Did you like your walk today?
Yeah.
Awesome. What was your favorite thing?
Everything.
Everything. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. How about you guys? Just not your first time here?
Not the first time. I was actually hoping to see something we didn't get to see.
Yeah, what's that?
Years past, we've seen chicken of the woods mushroom growing on the other side of the Rockbridge.
Sure.
And it was not there this year.
Yeah, I love chicken of the woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
And then the other one is one called sheep's head. It's very similar looking but paler. Another name is hen of the woods. Okay, so it's a little bit different, and it's delicious though if you find it and eat it. I found a special thing down there. I found a really nice American chestnut tree, alive, quite about that big in diameter, which is very rare these days. So that was my fun find. You know, I've been here before as well, but anyhow, thanks a lot. I appreciate it, and have a good day.
All right.